see people and you don't really have fun. Which one is it? So it's really a pleasure to be here. A lot of appreciation to my friend, my brother, Mr. Jamiu Badmus. I met him in 2000 February at an event such as this one, and I was blown away. And right from that point in time, I brought him into the organization I was leading then to help us up our game in terms of HSC. And he came in and did a phenomenal job. So please, a round of applause to Engineer Jamiu Badmus. He is a wonderful, wonderful leader. Before I go forward, I really want to say happy birthday. Happy 62nd birthday to Nigeria. There's a lot going on that doesn't give us joy, but honestly, I think for today, let us be happy. Let us celebrate our country. Happy birthday to Nigeria. I brand myself as a proudly Nigerian global brand. We are wonderful people. We have a lot of value to add. We do wonderful things, and we can rule the world. And one of the reasons why we're here today talking about leadership is that every single one of us has a role to play in making Nigeria the country that we want it to be. So all protocols duly observed. You're welcome to the Leadership Reboot 2.0. To reboot means that you were booted before. Am I right? We were booted before, and we now need to reboot. So let us sing this song. Even my boots need reboot, reboot, reboot. 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 We have to keep learning, we have to keep transforming if we are going to emerge as a future Nigerian nation that we're all proud of being citizens of. Now, maybe the battery has drained, maybe NEPA switch off light, maybe Japa has carried away 100 million people. And I keep saying, please let them go. Let them go and experience the world. Let them go and learn new things. As one of the previous speakers said, we will bring them back home again to come and add value to us. But for those of us that are still here, at least if there's 50% of us in Nigeria still, the resources we have will be enough for us to enjoy. Abi? So the people jackbuying, we're happy for you, okay? Those of us here though, we must focus on making sure Nigeria has what we need to be able to sustain the nation, to transform the nation, and please make Nigeria great again. So we have to reboot. If you're a responsible leader today, have you booted? Are you rebooting? Or are you just listening to everything we're talking about and it goes in the right air and it's going to come out the left? No. Let us pay attention. Let us pick a tip or a trick or two that we can take away and actively execute, work on, deliver, to make yourself great again, to make the people around you great again, to make the organizations where you work great again, and to make Nigeria great again. I don't know what it is about Nigeria. I love this country. And a lot of us love this country. I call it a defective gene. I don't know what it is. My employers have sent me abroad twice to go and work in world headquarters, 2 different times, 2 different global companies, and at the earliest opportunity, I jackpot back to Nigeria. So something they do me, I don't know what's in the team be, but I think saying I love for Nigeria, and I think saying I love for every one of you seated in this audience today. Nigeria needs us. Nigeria needs what we can give. Nigeria needs what we can deliver. So today I will be talking about servant leadership. I see servant leadership as the winning spark that can make things great again. A spark creates a fire. And I'm encouraging each and every one of us, no matter where we are, no matter what we are going through, to continue to be a spark where we're at. To continue to spark life into the things around us. To continue to spark life into the work around us. Continue to spark life into the people around us. Let's all be a spark of fire that will catch and light Nigeria. If Nigeria is going to become a greater nation, it's going to take the hard work of each and every one of us, wherever we are, whatever we're doing. Enough of looking up at leaders and saying they are the ones that are bad. It's not the leaders that sit in the downfall bus, drink sachet water, pure water tutu, and throw the nylon on the road. Is it the leaders? No. They're not the ones that drink all the plastic bottled water and throw the plastic bottles in the gutters. And then when the rainy season comes, everybody's houses are flooded. It's not them. All the ills of Nigeria, a lot of the ills of our nation can be traced to each and every one of her citizens. And that's why it's very, very important for us to consider the fact that everyone is a leader. Leadership is not just the executives at the top. Yes, they are leaders. And yes, in our nation, our leaders at the top can do much better. Indeed, we know. Then we have the leaders of organizations. They also have a lot to do. And the team members in the organizations, the leaders in the middle, the supervisors, the project leaders, they are my favorite group of leaders, because if you consider an organization as a triangle, the leaders in the middle are the ones that the people in the organization, the majority of the people in the organization, the 60 to 70% of the workforce, deal with the leaders in the middle on a daily basis. However, when we look into the practices of leadership development in our organizations, we find out that those leaders in the middle, they don't quite get enough attention. We don't develop them to be leaders before they get into those leadership positions. So they learn to be leaders the way they were when they were doing their jobs by themselves as individual contributors. We need to do so much more to help them understand that their job is to help their teams succeed. That's their job. Their job is to help their team members succeed one by one. And if in an organization, every single individual succeeds one by one, what's going to happen in that organization? Do we know? The organization succeeds because the organization, the team, is a collection of individual people. So leadership is important, and the concept of servant leadership as the winning spark is very, very important for us to excel. A lot has been said about the world of work that we live in. Technology everywhere, artificial intelligence, robotics, predictive analytics capability, everything driven by big data, AI, virtual reality, artificial reality, augmented reality, all sorts of, in fact, my reality, your reality is now going into the metaverse, right? I can decide to be an avatar at any point in time and live a virtual life. It's happening already. So technology is changing, has changed actually the world. I don't talk about the future of work anymore because the world of work is now. It's no longer in the future, it's here. And people who think Nigeria is far behind the developed nation when it comes to digitalization and technologies, there's a lot of it going on here as well. And there's so much more, because Africa is the current investment destination for a lot of digital capability. And importantly, you see, everything we do not have is an opportunity for somebody to make an impact, for somebody to create a solution that's going to address certain needs that people have. Nigeria is a rich, rich, rich land of opportunity for those that can open their eyes and dream the dreams and see the visions and take advantage of those opportunities. Explosion in contingent work. We don't talk about workers as employees, permanent staff alone. We talk about the extended workforce, because from start to finish of a process, to create a product, to deliver it to the customer, to drive customer experience, both the permanent staff, the contract workers, alliance partners, a lot of people are involved in that process from start to finish. And as you know, in a process, if one part of a process is bad, it is highly unlikely that we will achieve the outcomes we desire at the end. And if we do achieve those outcomes, then they may not be complete. So it's really important to be very, very people-centric in the world we are in today. Jobs are vulnerable to automation, we know that. Of course, we've heard about the diversity, the generations. Pastor Ito had talked about the 9. Tsunami of data, there's data everywhere, and technology is helping us to gain insights from data so that we can be released from more mundane tasks and focus our wonderful brains in highly strategic work, much more impactful outcomes. That's the world that we live in today. The world has changed. The world is of the work that is changed, the worker that is changing, and the workplace that has changed. And Mr. MKO just talked to us about a lot of the things around infrastructure and offices. Those 3 things, in today's world of work, as you think about one, you've got to think about the others, because it's a whole system. And systemic thinking is what will drive value and continue to drive value in the world we are in today. So the future of work has so many shifts, and it's really, really important that we think about the impacts and implications of all of these shifts on the person. And we've been hearing quite a lot about that. The fact that the world is changing, some people are afraid of change. Some people are afraid of how it's changing. A number of people think robots are coming to take over their jobs. Well, I don't think a robot will take over my job. I'm going to take over the work of the robots. Simple. Because I'm human, right? I'll learn what they can do and do it a little bit better. Okay, that's a joke. We will learn to find our space and make the impact that we need to make, because robots can do the physical work, they can process data, they can churn out information. However, it's still humans that's going to generate and derive insights from that information and transform insights into action. Now, these changes are doing a number of things, creating a lot of fear in some people, creating quite a bit of stress in many others. A lot of people are uncertain about their futures because they hear robotics, they hear artificial intelligence, and they're looking at themselves and saying, how will I survive in that world that is coming? As a servant leader, you've got to be people-centric. As a responsible leader, you've got to be people-centric. You've got to recognize the effects and the impact of this fast-paced world we live in and all these changes, and step in to be that support system for the people you work with, for the people you live around and with at home, and generally for the nation. As a nation of Nigerians, we've got to stop being selfish. We've got to become more people-centric and have that principle of steward leadership, which I'll talk about. There's a need for engagement, there's a need for collaboration, there's a need for connections, and these things drive well-being. When people are happy at work, they are more productive. There's research that tells us that. Companies where the employees have higher engagement levels actually deliver percentage points, several percentage points higher productivity. So if you are a CEO here today, or you work in a company and you want your company to succeed, drive a people-centric agenda. Richard Branson says, take care of the people. They will take care of the business. They'll take care of the customers. The business will get done. That's what we're talking about today. So the future of work, or the now of work, today's world of work, is one where it's all about people. And servant leaders are revolutionary people because they think outside of themselves about everything else and everyone else, and they just want to do one big thing: make it better for the next person. My purpose in life, I figured that out many, many years ago when I was in my teens, I think I had probably left university, I was 18 or something. And I was thinking, so Busola, why are you here? Why do you think God made you and put you on earth? What are you here to do? And I figured out that what gives me true joy and fulfillment is to be able to chart a path of success for somebody else. That was what gave me joy. And however it is I can do that, that gives me fulfillment. And so the truth is, no matter what's happening in Nigeria, it's good, it's bad. There's no money, FX has gone up, it's come down, whatever is going on, I find fulfillment in self-purpose, because that self-purpose is about other people. Servant leaders think about other people. They're revolutionary and they can do a lot of things because they connect with a lot of other people and help other people be successful. Imagine a Nigeria where our focus, all 200 million of us, is not necessarily and only about our personal success, but about the success of each person we come in contact with. Think about that for 1 second. If we are servant leaders in Nigeria to the individual level, you're not going to want to be scamming the next person. You will want to contribute everything to the success of that entrepreneur's business. That malam who is trying to make ends meet for his family, you will be thinking about him and his children and the wife, and so what can I do to make your life better? Are your children able to go to better schools than what you can afford? Can I pay the school fees of one of them, maybe? And so on and so forth. If each one of us is thinking from a servant leadership perspective, then we're thinking about Nigeria. And we're thinking, what is it that we need to do to make Nigeria great again? Because this country was great when it attained independence. My parents were sent on scholarships abroad to go and study. My father got an American PhD paid for by the Nigerian government. Nigeria was like that. And by the time they finished school and were coming back home, they had jobs to do. Nigeria was like that. There was a time when in this country we could walk around without being scared of somebody kidnapping us or going to our homes and kidnapping our children. We were able to keep money in the bank without the fear that certain hacksters will get into our accounts. We have all of these things. Yes, it's the sign of the times of today, this fast-paced digital world we live in. But I think a big part of this problem is because a lot of Nigerians have forgotten how to be Nigerian. We don't care whether the country excels. We don't care anymore whether the country crashes. And everybody just wants to, what? Jackpa. And jackpa, and leave it to who? There's no place like home. I'm not against people jackpying, and people have been jackpying for as long as I can remember. HSMP, UK, American Lottery, there have been so many. Canada, Australia, Singapore. Soon, we'll hear North Korea. Maybe. Soon, maybe Afghanistan. You won't go? Maybe Iran. They will open borders. Many countries are opening borders. But there's still a lot of Nigerians that have a lot of value add here. And so we should each be thinking about, what can I do to make Nigeria great? Where are those opportunities and what can I contribute? I'm a Nigerian. Are you a proudly Nigerian global brand? Yes. I hear yes. Yes. Are you? Yes. You are. What are you doing to make Nigeria a proudly global, best-in-class country? What are you doing in your little space? What are you doing in the work you do each day? What are you doing as you affect the lives of each member of your team? Are you delivering excellence? And are you building people behind you to drive that excellence so we have sustainability everywhere? Those are the things that servant leadership is about. And particularly, servant leaders turn the organization on its head. They put people at the top because it's all about the people. It's all about what the people need to succeed, to be okay in their personal and professional lives. That's what servant leaders focus on. It's not about me because I'm the CEO. The power and the bugaing, right? And the CEO, I want to buga. I got that promotion. Let's buga on. That's not what it's about. All of that are enablers for the servant leader to do a lot more good and make a lot more impact through the people around. That's what servant leaders do. So servant leadership is living your life for the sake of others. If there's one message I would love us all to take away from here, today, Nigeria's 62nd birthday anniversary celebration, it is the fact that we need all of us to become servant leaders of this jewel that is Nigeria. As some people are running away, some people are running back here. I was on a flight to the UK so many years ago, and two brothers, I think they were Lebanese, they were sitting next to me and they wanted to talk. I wanted to sleep, they wanted to talk. So I listened. And they are leaders, owners of a very popular conglomerate in this country, and they were telling me about how Nigeria is a gold mine. They said, you Nigerians are walking on gold you do not know. And I said to myself, how come we in Nigeria don't see these gold? They said in their conglomerate of some 12, 13, 15, 17 companies, I don't know how many, the least was making about $23 million every month from the business that they do in this same country. This was many years ago. There was no digitalization per se then. We didn't have the fintech unicorns and all the things we're seeing today. A different era, but there's always been opportunities. And there will always be problems as well. It's the bears and the bulls. Pick your choice. Are you going to win no matter what's going on? That's the decision that I've taken, and that's why I always come back home. My defective gene brings me back to Nigeria. So servant leadership at the individual level, we can all make an impact. It's decision time in terms of leadership of the nation next year. What decisions are we going to make? It's living our lives for the sake of others. And as I said, servant leaders flip the organization over. They're not at the top. They actually are at the base of the organization, supporting everybody else. And they've put the employees at the top, very importantly, because those employees are the ones that have the direct contact with customers. And it is customers and stakeholders for nonprofits that bring in the value of what we're trying to achieve with our vision, our mission, our aspirations. And that's what servant leadership is all about. Outside of self, it's all about the other person. How can I help you be better, do better, achieve better? How can we help Nigeria be greater? That's what servant leadership is all about. At the national level, that's one of my favorite leaders. Who's that, ladies and gentlemen? Nelson Mandela, one of the greatest servant leaders of our time. He sacrificed so much for his country. How many of us would do what he did for South Africa in our own Nigerian context because of love for Nigeria, because of love for the next man, because we want this country to be whole, to be great for the generations coming? Would we? He says no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate. And it's true, when you look at little children, black, white, brown, blue, green, they play together. They don't see those differences. They learn intolerance as they grow up. So it's environmental. We do it to them. They get it from the adults. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, and this is my favorite part, then people can learn to love. At work, I use a phrase, we can love people into performance. And loving people into performance doesn't mean that we tolerate all sorts of nonsense, because it's a two-way street. The organization gives to you, you've got to give back to the organization, and it's got to be disciplined delivery. So focus on what's critically important in terms of what you can contribute as an individual employee, an individual citizen. Focus on what you can contribute, and the organization will focus on what it must contribute to you. Do not be a taker that does not give back. That will not make Nigeria great. In fact, it will not make you great. as an individual. It won't make me great as an individual. The greatness comes from the power of collectivism. It comes from the power of shared vision, from the power of being together united in purpose. And that's what servant leadership is all about at the individual, the organizational, and the national levels. So people can be taught to love because love comes more naturally to the human heart than the opposite. That's what Nelson Mandela said, and I tend to believe everything he says. That was Madiba, right? Servant leadership is transformational, and transformational leaders don't start by denying the world around them. So Nigeria is hard, it's tough, recognize it. Then the next question to me is, so what can I do to change things in my own context? They describe a future that they would like to create, and the images we're seeing, Dubai, 1991, Dubai 2016. These are real images. Can we imagine a picture of Nigeria? Nigeria 2022, Nigeria 2052, and see the contrast, because that is what we want. By the way, that's what Malaysia did many, many years ago. There was a time when Nigeria was far ahead of Malaysia in a number of different respects. They sat down and created a 20-year transformation program for their country. I've been to Malaysia. It's much nicer in a lot of respects than here. I've been to a number of countries, and I ask myself, we travel Nigerians, how come we cannot create that Nigeria that is a destination country for so many people from across the world? We've got so much. We've got beautiful terrain. I traveled once for 10.5 hours from Port Harcourt through 5 states to Ekiti. I'm an Ekiti girl. Proudly Ekiti, right? And I was just marveling at the beauty of the landscape I was seeing. It was beautiful terrain. We've got that. We've got tourist attraction spots. We've got minerals. In almost every state in this country has at least 4 minerals, different types of minerals. So what is it with us? What's wrong? I'm looking at myself. Please look at yourself, because Nigeria's got to get great, and we've got to do better than we are doing. So when, Nigeria, very important for us to do a transformation. So finally, there's a correlation between everything we've heard today so far and safety leadership. I assume most of the people in this room are QHSES professionals. You are my cousins, because I'm a business and human resource management professional. But I see a very strong correlation between QHSES and people management, because everything, absolutely everything, is about people. And safety leadership is about the capacity to mobilize people around safety challenges and influence behavior so that it becomes safer. Servant leadership is about doing the same with people so that we can achieve the goals and the objectives of the organization, of the individual, of the nation, through the people, by giving them all the encouragement and the support that we can as leaders. If we're going to transform, if we're going to become a great nation, if we're going to become a great society of wonderful, achieving high-impact organizations, if we're going to become a nation of great individuals, safety leadership is fundamental, because we've got to be alive first to make impact, alive and well. And then servant leadership to bring it all together and to empower. And finally, people at the center, everything working together to drive value for Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening. That's what I had to share.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that was another exceptional delivery. It was delivered with such sartorial eloquence and elegance. Please, let's give it up to Mrs. Busola Lofe. Thank you very much. From the beginning of her presentation, you will find out she kept repeating what can we do to make Nigeria great again. Please tell your neighbor Nigeria will be great again. Please say it like you mean it. While she was talking about Nigeria can be great again, I remember the story of a man who went to a bishop and said, "Sir, it's not in Nigeria anyway. I'd like to bury my dog just died." And the bishop said, "What an anathema. Bury dog here, God forbid." There's a church around the road. You can go there and bury the dog. They might do it for you. And so the young man turned back to the bishop and said, "Sir, would the donation of $10,000 be enough for the church?" The bishop turned back and said, "You didn't tell me your dog is a Christian. We bury Christians here." What am I saying? All those who are jackpying, nothing to worry about. Once Nigeria becomes good, what would they do? They would come back, and there's nothing to worry about, because they would, by that time, will be turning brain drain to brain gain. The 12th century Persian poet did say that in the hour of adversity, be not without hope, for crystal rain drops from dark clouds. And I guess that's a summation of what Mrs. Alofe was saying to us, that Nigeria will be great again. J.F. Kennedy said, "Think not what your country can do for you, but think of what you can do for your country." So please help me ask your neighbor, what would you do for Nigeria to make Nigeria great? Did you get an answer? That means that was good. Please, one more time, let's appreciate our wonderful speaker. That was insightful. It was really impactful. Thank you. At this point, we'd like to quickly present our award to our speakers before we go to the last segment. And so on this note, I'd like to invite upstage Dr. M.K.O. Balogun. Dr. M.K.O. Balogun, please come upstage. And I'd like to present the award. I'd like to invite Mr. Akim Obakoya and his beautiful wife to do us the honor of presenting the plaque to Dr. M.K.O. Balogun. Please come to the center. Yes. Thank you very much. Mr. Akim Obakoya and his wife will be doing the presentation to Dr. M.K.O. Balogun. You remembered what doctor said? Okay. So please come up stage and we'll do the presentation quickly. Immediately after that, it will be the turn of Mrs. Eyitayo Iyoti. So immediately after this, I'd like to invite. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate Dr. M.K.O. Balogun and Mr. Akim Obakoya and his wife for this presentation. The next round will be to invite our distinguished speaker, Mrs. Eyitayo Iyoti, upstage. Thank you. Please let's clap for her if you appreciate her presentation. And to do the presentation will be Mr. Hei Hidem. Mr. Hei Hidem, please come on stage. Thank you. He's the president of OSH Africa, and he will be ably joined by Mrs. Jadesola, the MD of Jade Gate. Mrs. Jadesola, please join. Okay, thank you. I'd also like to join in this presentation Engineer Fumi Atinuke. No, sorry, that will be it for this segment. Thank you. All right. This presentation is to Mrs. Eyitayo Iyoti. Yes. Look at the camera. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's give him a warm round of applause. And I'd like to now bring up stage our very last speaker, Mrs. Busola Lofe, to please come up stage. Let's appreciate her. And to do the presentation will be Engineer Fumi Achinuke, and will be supported by Engineer Festus Akipelu and Chief Festus Kode. You can see it's a powerful one because our speaker too was very powerful. Engineer Chinuke Fumi, Engineer Festus Akipelu, and Engineer Festus Kode. You brought so much energy and passion into the presentation, so we've got to make this one tripartite. Thank you. Let's appreciate them as they come up stage. Thank you.
Me and you on a vacation. Gonna get a little bit of love. Gonna get a little.
Don't forget what she said. What can we do to make Nigeria great? The answer is right here. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate them as they make their way back to their seats. Distinguished guests, let me use this moment to recognize the presence of the Director of Public Safety and Well-being of the Lagos State Safety Commission, Mr. Adeyinka Adebi. You are most welcome, sir. Let's appreciate him. All right, we now come to the final segment of this engagement this beautiful afternoon. And this is the engagement where the CEOs will express their views. And so it's my honor and privilege to bring upstage our distinguished CEOs. First on the list will be Mrs. Tazar Ajala, Chief Executive Officer, Gordon Barrett Limited. Let's appreciate her as she comes up stage. I'd also like to bring up stage to join her on this podium the CEO of TWPC Tech, Dr. Mojisola Olateru Olagbegi. Are we tired of clapping? Or are the gentlemen complaining that, or protesting that all the CEOs are women? Are we complaining? Nothing to worry about, because if you see the word she, what do you have inside it? He. If you see the word female, what do you have inside it? If you see the word woman, what do you have inside it? And all, women, men. So all the problems that women also go through, what is there? Women go for manicure. What is the cause? Mental stress. What is there? Menopause. What is there? Let's appreciate our men. They are wonderful people. They are all CEOs. And we have joining us on the virtual platform Mrs. Folake Shueton, CEO Ikeja Electric. And to moderate this session is a corporate performance expert, Mrs. Joke Olatunji. So on this note, I'd like to hand over this special segment to the moderator of this session, Mrs. Joke Olatunji. Do enjoy the session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's the energy level in here? A bit low? Can we bring it up a little bit? DJ, can you do something for us? We need 2 minutes, 2 minutes. We need to bring the energy up because right now we have like a power-packed panel, so we need to make the most of it. So I need some energy. DJ, what are you doing? Can we go low, low, low? No? Yes? Somebody stand up.
I don't want nobody to be my matter. For this life
I have a gift for the person that I can see that is dancing the most. So, I mean, and those that know me know that my gifts are hyper.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep. That's
Wake up.
Wake up. Okay.
Wake up.
trendybeats.com.
Please, some people are still sitting down. We need you people up and moving. We are about to have a power pack session. I have a gift. When I land the line, please, we know what the line is now, so you gotta dance. Okay. Thank you. I think the energy is up now. You know, there's some people I didn't even think they could dance, but as I was watching them from here, their low was the lowest. Well done. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for spending your Independence afternoon with us. So my name is Joke Olatunji, and I head, nutshell, I do a little bit of a lot of things, but right now I head the pipeline business for TSL, and I'm also the principal consultant for Aspen Consultancy. And what we're doing now is really to look at our fantastic CEOs, and they're going to take us a little bit on their journey and the advice they have for us on leadership. But before we go into the panel introductions, I want to just take a temperature of the room. So right now, right here, how many of us are in leadership position? By a show of hands. How many? Okay, so how many people are aspiring leaders? Hoping? Okay. And then are there people that the concept of leadership is just new to them and they're just waiting to see, you know what, do I even want to do this or not? Do I want to be a leader or not? By a show of hands. Anybody who's new to the concept? Okay, great. So our goal is, irrespective of where you are, what your stage is in your leadership journey, you'll be able to pick something from the people here today. Something new, something fresh, some strategy that you can go and implement. So just to give you a little bit of how I'm going to do this, I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves. And once they do that, just a little bit about their journey, their leadership journey. Then okay, so they're going to take us a little bit through about their leadership journey. Then I'll be asking them some questions, and then we're going to take, at the end of this, we have a few minutes to just allow the audience ask one or two questions. So, do we like the flow? That yes is very, do we like the flow? Okay, great, because we need to leave here with practical things that we can do when we go back, to our organizations or our homes. So I'll start first with Dr. Moji. If you could just do a quick introduction about yourself and a little bit about your leadership journey.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Moji Olateolagbegi. In terms of myself, started out as an engineer, electrical, my first degree. I went to University of Lagos, Unilag.
Greatest Akokite.
So my first degree was electrical engineering. I got a BSc there. Then I have a master's in electronics, and from England, King's College. But from there, I decided to go right into IT right away. So I started my career as what you call a technical support engineer, pulling cables, network engineer with, then it was DPMS and Reuters and all that. And then from there, I moved on to Costain West Africa Limited, and I grew where I did both engineering as well as worked with the construction with my MD then as his technical assistant. So to cut a long story short, anyway, delved into entrepreneurship. So that was my first taste of leadership, apart from where I was technical assistant to Chief Jibono, then he was the Costain leader. And I taught, that was then we had multimedia computers, and I taught children how to use multimedia computers. But talking about Japa, I moved to Canada. So many years ago, long ago, moved abroad, moved to Canada, but worked in the States right through. And then I did my Microsoft certification, I did my project management certification, ended up working with Dow Chemical, with a number of Fortune 100 companies in the States as a project manager, and now decided to come back. So really, people are going to come back. That's the honest truth. They are going to come back. So in terms of, and when I came back, I went straight into entrepreneurship consulting, started my company, and for me, it's been a beautiful journey. It hasn't been a vertical one. I've had a lot of exposure. And in terms of leadership, one thing I believe I have gained a lot is styles of leadership, both locally and internationally. And I find that for me, what resonates with me most is collaboration. It's being empathic about, the last speaker, Mrs. Busola, when she talked about servant leadership, she hit my heart, because that's what it's all about. Just being able to give back. Of course, competence is key, strategic thinking is key. And as we continue to lead each other, because I don't consider myself the only leader. It's a continuous process. It's a continuous learning process. And even all the people around you, you're learning from them. So when you ask that question, how many leaders are in the room? We said to each other, when just a few hands went up, we said to each other, but everybody is a leader. You're a leader in your own space, and so we're all leaders. We're all learning every day. And the little child is a leader in his classroom, so let's begin to think that we're leaders wherever we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. All right, so we'll quickly hear from you, Ma, so you can just do a brief intro.
I take it that you couldn't pronounce my name again.
No, your name is Mrs. Tizer.
Okay.
That was the first thing I did when I came in here, to try and get your pronunciation correctly. And I know that, there's some Egyptian history mixed in with a little bit of Nigeria. So I did my research.
Still African.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Taisira Ajala. I'm the Chief Executive of Gordon Barrett. It's a human resource company. We've been in existence since 2009. I did all my education here in Nigeria. I worked for private sector for a bit before I decided that I wanted to go into entrepreneurship, but it was more structured for me. I didn't just jump into entrepreneurship. I worked for CNN managing their African operation before that time, and the workload was huge. When I had to resign, I had to train 6 people to take my role. At that point, I felt that there was that leadership capability in me, and I wanted to harness it. So what I did was to go to the Lagos Business School to get certified as, it was the STEM course, the Certificate in Entrepreneurship Management. And when I went there, honestly, I didn't really have a business idea. I just knew that I wanted to run my company. But when I was filling the form, I had to feel something. And at that point in time, what was a current burning issue for me in my family home was domestic staff. And I felt that they were so maltreated in Nigeria, there was no grace to that profession. So I'd written that I wanted to set up a company that would train and provide nannies in Nigeria, which sounded brilliant at the time. And so when I started the course, I realized that that's not really what I want to do. I found that some of the work I'd done in CNN and in private sector, which was around human capacity development, what I was more passionate about. And I'm saying this for the young people because sometimes we're afraid that we may have made a decision and we have to stick to it. It's okay to change your mind. I mean, and for me, I changed my mind, and I'm happy doing it, because if your theory of change personally is not to change something that affects you or affects your daily life and your immediate environment, then you would not be able to have the staying power in whatever business it is that you set up. So that's me for Gordon Barrett. I'm also the vice chairman of Suno Assurances PLC. It's a French insurance company that have invested in Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I cannot live out of Nigeria. After 2 weeks, I start feeling sick. I need to come back home. The future everywhere is bleak, but I think that this is the greatest time to be alive. We all should be very happy to be alive. We've gone through unprecedented challenges around the world, and I think that the less hit is Nigeria. So we should be thankful to be here. We should be thankful to be from Nigeria. Yes, our challenges are huge, but I think that if we can all work together and combine our leadership gifts, then we will begin to make some progress, hopefully.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tyser. I think I did a better job the second time around. Okay, do we now have Mrs. Shuet online? We'll take a quick intro from her as well before we dive right into the very tough questions. We're going to be practical here and answer the real questions. Okay, Mrs. Shuet.
I'm doing audio check. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. We can hear you now, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon. I need a confirmation that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you now, Mrs. Shueto.
Okay, fantastic. All right, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me start by apologizing that I had to do a virtual session last minute. Some emergency just came up for me, and I'm even in the middle of the emergency, but because engineers are very dear and special to me, and I know that this is a big deal, and I'm also very practical about leadership, so I said I would do whatever it is to try and make sure I attend, even though it's virtual. So my name is Folake Shueton, and I'm currently the Chief Executive Officer of Ikeja Electric. I have worked in the power distribution space for the last 7 years. Previous to that time, I worked 7 years in Sahara Group. So Ikeja Electric is a subsidiary of Sahara Group. So in total, I've done about 14 years. I worked in the downstream space, and I'm also worked on turnaround projects. And Ikeja Electric has been one of those turnaround projects. Before Sahara Group, I did about 10 years in the aviation space. And all through that time, 10 years in aviation, that's the airlines, I've always had the opportunity to be a leader. I was thrown into leadership position at a very young age, where I was literally the youngest person in the team that I was meant to man. And I learned very, very quickly the importance of making people the center of leadership. And I think the last speaker spoke brilliantly to that about servant leadership. So I'm very passionate about leadership. I understand the value and the importance of collaboration and how people help make a difference to anything that you want to do, or whether in your personal space, whether in an organization, and whether even in Nigeria. So this is something that I'm big on, and I'm very happy and excited to be part of this panel to just share practical things with regards to leadership and my own experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Shueto. And while I still have you here, I'll just have you take the first question for us. Right? What do you consider the most important attributes that a leader or a high-performing leader should have? What attributes or traits or characteristics do you consider to be very, very critical for a leader to have? So someone who is looking to become a successful leader, what should they really be focusing on? Mrs. Shueton, did you get my question? I'm not sure. Okay, so not to waste time. Okay, I'll just go straight to Mrs. Mojisola now. Mrs. Mojisola, doctor, please. You've spoken a lot about going to Canada, coming back. So my question is, having worked in a lot of, diverse cultures, so globally, you've worked with governments, you've worked with agencies, you've worked in the private sector. How has the culture of the place that you are in at that time, how has it influenced your leadership style? And how has it helped in the evolution as to the leader that you are now?
Well, my leadership style, I believe, has evolved. Like I said something earlier on, you can be a leader at any level you are at, whether it's a student. I remember Dr. MKO was telling us just earlier on how he drove from Owerri all across Benin as a leader at NANS. So I would say the first thing that hit me was excellence during my industrial training when I was still at university. Because I had the opportunity, I was opportuned to go to serve with, then it was ABB, Asia Bram Brewery in Mannheim in Germany. And I was stunned at the level of excellence that was there and at the level at which they automated everything. And right from then, I think that was when I took the decision to go into automation, to go into IT and technology. So excellence, just excellence in all that we do is key. That then moving forward, team collaboration, just being a team player is very key. Of course, competence goes without saying. I think that's assumed that competency, we must be competent in what we do, hence you can be excellent. But team collaboration is very key because I find that, especially when I was working in the States, I found that we did everything as a team. Our team leader, our project manager, at some point before I became a project manager, but our project manager would call us all in, and I watched and observed what they did. So when I had the opportunity to lead my own team, it was very important to get information from everybody and then thinking. When I say thinking, creative thinking, strategic thinking, innovative thinking, just asking questions is also very key because being able, from asking questions, you get answers. Why is this going this way? So coming together, asking questions. And finally, one key one is empathy. Just being empathizing with everyone. So I gained that, through just talking to people. And I guess maybe our women were naturally empathic. Just being able to carry people along with you and not just assuming and letting people work from the position of strength. So when I find somebody is weak in a particular area, I have a conversation with them, and then we now say, okay, what are your strengths? And I've seen people perform better when they're placed in their position of strength. So I'll just keep it short. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. So your experiences you've had in the various places that you've worked in have definitely helped you pick different things that you're using now or that helped you evolve into being the leader that you are now. Thank you very much for that, Ma. So I'll move on now to Mrs. Shueton. Can you hear me now, Ma? Okay, so I had a question for you, and I was asking about what traits you thought were the most important when considering, so traits or characteristics that a leader should have, or a leader that wants to be successful. What are the traits that the person should be working on now?
Okay. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, technology is messing me up. Please confirm.
We can hear you, ma'am. Yes, we can hear you. You can proceed.
Okay, so your question is asking you're asking about some of the traits or attributes like that a successful leader should have. and which one stand out for me? Was that the question? Let me double.
Exactly.
Is that what you asked?
Yes, that's the question. Yes, you can. That's the question. You can proceed, ma'am.
Can somebody just type this?
So can you ask the question? I repeated it. I couldn't hear the question, please.
That's exactly the question, ma'am.
What I asked you, is that it? What you asked me now? Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so for me, there are different things that I think is critical for any successful leader. Attributes or traits that they must have. I think the very first one for me is it's important to be able to influence the people that you work with. And for you to be able to influence the people that you work with, there needs to be trust with regards to your colleagues. And being able to acquire trust, you need to be transparent. A lot of leaders tend to think that they should not share information or be open with their colleagues. I find that when you try and build trust by being transparent, you're allowing the people that work with you to be open to the real issues and the challenges that an organization is going through. And it helps the employee have an appreciation of the reality. When the people that you work with are able to trust that what their leader is saying, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it helps develop confidence. It also helps the team members have a sense of value. I think it's also has the attribute of being able to listen and empathize with their colleagues. I find that being true and vulnerable also is an attribute that is key. A lot of leaders feel like, I said, just because they are leaders, they should always know things, or they should always have the answers. No. I think when a leader can display vulnerability and show that they don't have all the answers, that they don't know, that they have a learning spirit, and they're willing to learn or listen to things from the perspective of their team members, it definitely has a huge impact on their team members. And as such, I think it's a great attribute leaders should have, because, like I said, leaders feel like as if they should know all the answers. Leaders feel like that they're meant to be top. But when people see that you're vulnerable, it helps engender them to you. They see that you're human after all, just like them. They are free to give you feedback. And of course, they're giving you feedback that is honest. It helps you be able to make decisions and helps the organization achieve its objectives. Those are the things that I feel attributes or traits that a successful leader should have.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Shoeton. But now that we have you and it seems the connection is clearer, I'm just going to ask your next question before I move to the other speakers. I hope that is okay. Okay, thank you. So my next question to you is, you have, a lot of people have said that you are expert in motivating leaders to try and be the best. And you've also, you speak a lot about leading with gratitude. So, there are different kinds of leadership styles. So there's the style that focuses on the employee, and then there's the style that focuses on the stakeholders. So we know that the employee is driven by compassion, while when it comes to, the stakeholder side, you are driven by efficiency and results. So what would you think, or what do you think is the benefit of one over the other? So marrying being employee focused and stakeholder focused, or bottom line focused? So yes, we'd like to hear your opinion on that, ma'am.
That's a very interesting question, considering that some of my colleagues are actually on this call and they're actually in the room. And so I have to be brutally honest and just try and find a way of balancing this question. So the truth is that if you look at the question about stakeholders, you can't really separate your employees in terms of your stakeholders. Your employees are a stakeholder. They're one of the stakeholders. In fact, they're your most critical stakeholder because they produce the results that is required to thrive in the organization or to even deliver the objective. But that being said, the question for me is, how do I ensure the needs of all the stakeholders are met here? So bottom line, remember that the board is interested in bottom line of growth. The employee also wants to feel fulfilled and feel like I said they're part of the success. They're all stakeholders. The job of the CEO is to balance all of that. So I would say traditionally there is a strong focus from a financial or shareholder perspective where the objective at that time was performance. However, today businesses understand the benefit of focusing more on employees, because if you recall what the last speaker said, when you take care of the employees will take care of you. But the two are key and important. So for me, treating them as stakeholders will be, how do I improve their morale? How do I ensure that I can help them see the importance of their productivity and their action on the bottom line? And to do that, you can achieve a balance when the employee feels valued and feels like they're part of it. And viewing employees obviously as an internal stakeholder is, like I said, an excellent way to accomplish this. I think leaders who see their employees as stakeholders and support those who create the most value for the business are most likely to see improved results. And this is something that you see consistently. So the question is, how do you find that balance? And that's the job of the leader, on how you are ensuring that they feel valued. That's the cost of the employee, that is a stakeholder. But at the same time, they understand the impact and the importance of their action on delivering the bottom line. And them knowing that the bottom line, if it's not achieved, then it's difficult to be able to create an environment or to be able to add the value that they seek. So I think that's something I constantly am trying to do. So, you might have said about being transparent. I'm transparent enough with my team members. Guys, this is the reality. And I don't shy away from saying what they didn't do well or what wasn't done properly. And I'm always showing the implication of our action on ourselves and, of course, the business. And that way, there's joint ownership by all stakeholders. That's the employees themselves and the board. So when I'm talking to the board, I'm wearing the employee cap. When I'm also talking to the employee, I'm also wearing the board cap and showing them the perspective of both sides. So it's a bit of a delicate balance, but like I said, I think they're all stakeholders. I don't know if that's
okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Stress. I'm sure essentially you're saying we cannot focus on just one. We have to find a way to be able to marry both. Thank you for that. So, just taking a cue from what you said, I will now move on to Mrs. Tarsi. And, we talk about leading with gratitude and giving praise frequently, and immediately. So with your team, you tell them, you're doing a good job. But, on the other hand, you're also expected to be able to provide constructive feedback. So you can say, you know what, you messed up or you didn't do this well. So my question is, in a real life high pressure scenario, or this is the life we're living now, how do you balance this bit of being able to give the constructive feedback when you need to do it, and then also leading with gratitude?
Okay, I think that in also giving feedback to your employees or colleagues about how good they've been, you have to also gauge the environment that you do that. Because what I found with employees is that there are some people that are back office support. They're not very vocal, they're not very visible, but they're actually the ones that do the job. Then you have some employees that are that they're open to being in front, telling you about how they supported the team, but they're not able to really tell you that their colleagues put in a lot of work. So when you're so quick to also praise, you have to gauge that environment because you can be demotivating other team members. So what I do personally when it comes to appreciating staff is, if I gauge the room and I know that there's some kind of politics going on, the person I know who did the most job, I say thank you in front of everybody, but I write a personal note to that particular person. And I feel that it goes a long way because I can see productivity going up very quickly. Now, when it comes to criticizing, I sit on the board of Suno Assurance as vice chairman of the board. And so when we have board meetings and the MD comes to make his presentation to us, first of all, as board members, our role is oversight and advisory. We don't get into operations of the insurance company. So let the MD do his work. So sometimes other board members, which is something I stopped when I got to the board, you just kick the MD, and there is no constructive solution. Okay, yes, he did this wrong. Now, while you're criticizing somebody as a leader, it's very important that you also provide the solution. Yes, what you've done in this regard, maybe taking 150 sales agents at a time, may not have been a wise decision, but are you documenting what these 150 sales agents have done for us as a company? If the answer is no, you say, MD, please, can you revert back with your team and reduce this number to 10? Let us do a prototype. Let's see how the 10 work before you load the company with 150 agents. You don't just say, MD, why? You know, we need to be very conscious and intentional about our communication. Here in Nigeria, we do a lot of non-verbals, and it also affects people. We may say something, but our body language is off, or we look down sometimes on employees. And I'll tell you a personal experience that happened to me recently. I had 2 star employees. One of them is very exposed, is able to talk well, is able to present well. The other one is a dedicated loyalist. He doesn't have the level of exposure of the other one. So when we go for foreign trips, we use consultants or coordinators in those countries. And I just thought, look, these are young people, they're working. Let me try to take them from here as coordinators for that program. So I was only going to do the international passport of the superstar. But my conscience just pricked me at some point, and I said, but this other one, even if his English is not crisp, he's loyal. So I did the 2 passports. And then we had international training for 2 countries, America and Canada. So I called the protocol officer of my clients and said, look, I want to take 2 of my staff, these 2 guys. One should go to America, one should go to Canada. And I called them and said, look, this is what the protocol guy said. At this time, where there's a lot of jackpine, I don't want to soil your passport. You may not be able to scale through. So let me look for a program in Dubai or Turkey for you. Then we will now do the other one. The most exposed one just put his head down and didn't make a comment. But the loyal one said, thank you for even thinking about us, ma. And I was so thankful that I did not because of English speaking or documentation or appearance, I lost sight of the guy that is loyal to me and will give him my Christmas. So immediately, the other guy started misbehaving at work and he had to leave. I felt that if I did not send that other loyal staff, even if there was no training, but I sent him to Turkey, it gave me peace of mind that I have somebody in my office that is loyal to me, somebody that understands that I'm also intentional about your feelings working for me. So those are very key. We need to learn to balance, as leaders.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for bringing that personal touch and giving us your personal experience. So, the way you've answered that question makes my next question even more, it's at the right time. So my question now is to Dr. Mojisola, and it's about at what stage in leadership should one start to think about succession planning?
Well, for me, I've always thought about that question, and I think it's as soon as possible. Typically, they say maybe 5 years, 3 years when you know you're going to exit. But really, succession planning is something you're doing continuously. You should be sensitive, you should be deliberate, because the next level of management, or even the lower level, because, like, for example, I was having a conversation with someone a while back, a number of years ago, and it struck, and it was like, there's a bit of a gap between the next person to me, and so when I want to leave, how do I do it? I probably need to bring in someone. And interestingly, he said something that's similar to what you did. He said, Muji, the people you have brought from the beginning, they're going to be the most loyal. They've gone through the ranks with you. Why don't you, the fought fires with you and all that, why don't you bring them up and train them to that level? And, and that exactly is what I started doing, and I'm still doing, because really, we find that the gap. So started to bring, and young people are brilliant. I have brilliant engineers, because one of the things we do at TWPC Tech, we do what we call ITSM, IT Service Management. So we manage IT infrastructure for a lot of organizations and everything. I have brilliant young men and digital services, and they're doing, so the engineer in them is doing that. But some of them have even gone out of engineering into management. So we look at the skills gap. Quite a number of them are on training right now as I speak. Look at the skills gap and you begin to train them. So I think it's key to begin to pour yourself into them, demonstrate, begin to show, and I take them to meetings. So you begin to show at least one or two that you started training. You begin to show them how to do things, how to talk with clients, how to engage with CEOs and things like that, So I would say as soon as possible. However, typically it is said 5 years, 3 years, but for me, once you engage them, begin to train them towards leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And in line with the theme of what we're doing here is sustainability, really. So being intentional about succession, and it's not just about you and being a leader and being successful. Great. Thank you so much for that input. So I know, if the panel we've had, they're all women, so we have to ask the obvious question, right? Which is, there's some specific challenges that are faced by female CEOs, right? So we have women here too. So we're going to have a quick conversation around that and say, what, in your journey towards being this transformational leaders that you've been, are there things that you've experienced, and what are you able to do to overcome them, specific to you being a female CEO? So please, Mrs. Tassira, if you can just take the question.
I'm trying to practicalize response to your question so that everybody can relate. And I'll tell you one particular story that happened to me. We had to facilitate a session for a client, and the reason why we were facilitating that session for the client was because they had brought in a new COO. And so we wanted him to understand everybody he's going to work with. So we had what we call an informative session. And so I discussed our slides and the methodology with their CEO, who agreed. And so this gentleman that we put this program together for kept on standing. I was about to start my presentation, and his CEO was sitting down. Everybody was sitting down, and he kept on standing. And I didn't take it that way because I was a woman. I just said, what, I'm going to address this. And so I said, gentlemen, it's either you have crammed everything I have in my head to tell you, or you are about to pay your company the heavy check your boss paid me, because I got paid before I stood here. So you decide, is it that you take over from me or you sit down? So he sat down immediately, and that was it. Because sometimes for culture, even me as a Muslim, there are certain limitations. But those limitations are what we brought to fore. They're not even in our books, in the Quran, in the Hadiths. No. Women are allowed to work. Women are allowed to take leadership positions. But because of our upbringing culturally, there's this mix of things that you feel that as a woman, you shouldn't have a seat at the table, or you should wait first, let people talk, because they'll say you are forward, or she's arrogant, or she just doesn't have respect. So these are challenges, real challenges that we face. And it's not just in Nigeria, it's everywhere. I've seen it with CEOs across the world. They feel that they have to speak. And I think that for women, we need to stop that stereotype. We should not be disrespectful. Also, our tone is important and our ways of communicating. But these are issues that are real, and we shouldn't keep quiet. It's not about us, it's about other people. It's about the other woman that's going to come behind you. If you let it slide, she may not have a voice. And there are these mental health issues that the other speaker spoke about. They're real issues. Some people don't talk about it. They don't have the opportunity to, because we're too intrusive in this Nigeria. We are too intrusive and we are quick to just ask a woman. You just see a woman, no ring on her hand. Why are you not married? It's your problem. It is you. You are choosing. You know, that alone can make a woman repress, you know, and she's not able to have a voice, and she may be the most valuable player on that table. You know, so we have to, even as women, we have to support each other. And for the men, we are not in competition with you at all. In fact, we need you. That's the truth. We need you. We need you. Sometimes when a woman asks you, and please, for all the married men here, I beg you in the name of God, when your wife asks you, how do I look, don't say okay. Oh. That okay is bad. It means you look worse. For us, we want to hear, you are the most beautiful woman. This color suits you. You are fine. That alone will boost her morale and her productivity. So we need you. There's no competition, all this feminism thing. We need you. This is the truth. But you see, also as women, we must support each other. It's very tough for some of us. It takes us some years sometimes to have this voice and say, look, I deserve this position now. They didn't put me here because I have a beautiful face or because I went to school abroad. It's because I've worked. I've worked for this position. Don't take me for granted. And also don't do it to the next woman that is coming behind you. And for men, you need to stand up for us sometimes. When you see bullying in the workplace, even if it's not your wife, not your sister, stand up for her. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for her. All right, thank you so much for that. So we'll also hear from Dr. Moji now, please. The same question.
I think Tazera has really spoken for us, you know, but I'll just add a little to it in terms of my experiences. Maybe not so much as a CEO, but you know, coming over the years, you know, I've always been in a male-dominated space. Even in school, I was the only girl in my class. So I would go to class with them, we'll all go and study together and all that. So I was used to being one of the guys, so to speak. So maybe initially I didn't really notice, you know, until later on in my career, you know, when you now start going out and all that, then you begin to see the boys, our boys, they get together and they go off on their own, or they go meet later on in the night, and you can't go and drink beer with them at night, you know? Or those kind of things to get jobs, or you can't go and, you know, hang out with them later in the evening. But, you know, but I began to connect with them more, as in, okay, whatever I need to get, if I can't get it between 9 and 5, then I don't want it, you know? And also, so in terms of communicating, so, I mean, I think that was the main one. And the other one was also, like I said, maybe coming through the years, pay. I had, you know, sometimes I had to fight for my equal pay. We all have the same degree, we all have the same experience, but because I'm a lady, you're now paying me less than him, you know. So there's been a situation where I've actually had to demand for better pay, and I got it, you know. So what I would say in closing is really that, like Tazir rightly said, in terms of the number of women networks now, we're beginning to help each other. We're beginning to help. One thing, we have a non-profit as well, TWYI for youth, and we're engaging girls specifically and building them up in the entrepreneurship scene. And get involved. There's WIMBIs, there are other organizations. I'm very, very involved in WIMBIs, you know. And from there, you begin to encourage one another. And then, thank God, I think we have 3 women CEO bankers now. So there's a huge network of women in leadership that we can actually lean on. And women are willing. We're not to help each other these days. I think if we begin to explore, begin to connect, we'll find that women are leading to pull each other up, and it's important. And that's it. That's all.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Mrs. Shreto, would you please respond to that question as well?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy to hear the feedback from the panelists. So I would just build on what has been said so far. So some of the things I think have come up. So from my personal experience, I moved into male-dominated space as the power sector. Even worse still, I'm not even an engineer. So you can imagine how the men in that space would think, how would a female come and be the one to now lead this distribution company, and she's not even an engineer? But I saw it as an opportunity, not just for myself, really, but for all the women that are coming. So some of the normal things that I experienced, there was the imposter syndrome where I honestly, at some point in time, felt really unsure of myself. The usual being treated unequally or being looked at as a weaker sex. But how I turned those challenges into opportunities was the fact that I'm the only woman in the room, for example. First of all, stood me out. So what I said to myself was that they're already expecting less. So for every engagement I'm going to have, either in the boardroom or with my regulator, I am going there with my A game. And what that does is that it begins to influence the minds of the people that are already dealing with this unconscious bias. And they begin to see me not just as a woman, but as a professional, which is what I honestly want to project. So challenge, right? But then that challenge has now become an opportunity. And I can tell you for free that because of how I've comported my own self in this role as being a CEO for the last 2.5 years, it definitely influenced the decision to make a woman CEO for EcoDisco, which is on that same label. So that is very good. I'm actually very proud of that. And of course, with other younger women looking at both of us, will know that there's no need for them to have this, imposter syndrome. Another one for me is that increasing pressure of balancing work and the home front, because there's certain obligations that are tied to being a woman, being a mother, being a wife, and being a CEO, and having to balance that. And for me, the opportunity there too, the same thing, having to get the respect or earn the respect of my husband and my children, where my children begin to see me as, wow, a fantastic mother, because I'm very deliberate about the time I make up for them. At the same time, they're seeing I'm also helping them shape the narrative of how they perceive women, because they see a strong woman, they see a loving mother, and they also see a woman that is also submissive to her husband and still cares for her husband, but she's balanced. So that was a challenge, but like I said, I turned that challenge into other opportunity. And lastly for me is, they always say women were emotional, were less decisive as men. If you listen to some of the examples I've been giving today, it's that emotional or that being clearly aware of the strength of being a woman, that example would help you observe or pay attention to someone who is loyal to the organization, even loyal to the CEO, and make a decision that will help boost the morale of that person. So it is an opportunity, it's a challenge, as it's seen like they're emotional, but that emotional view can be channeled to make you stand out and make decisions or be more relatable or be able to leverage on the emotional intelligence strength of being emotional and ultimately making decisions that ultimately adds value. So that's how I've approached it and how I continue to approach it.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for Mrs. Sheraton. So essentially, the things that are considered a weakness are the critical tools that are actually helping women to succeed. So even though we are considered emotional, that's why, I think we make much better leaders. I could be biased. All right. So now we'll take 2 questions from the audience. So organizers, I don't know if you have the microphone. Okay, I understand there's a question online. So we'll take one online, and then there's somebody over there who also has a question to ask. So we can only take 2 questions. Yes, all right. So the question online, who wants to read the question? Do we have someone who can read it for us? Oh, we'll just go straight to the man over there. He's in the yellow shirt. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Good day, everybody. My name is SK Purple, and I have 2 questions, actually. I hope I can take them.
You have 1 question.
The one that's...
But try and fuse it if you can.
Okay. First question. I'm a the leader of a team of 9 persons in a multinational, I would say. And my question is around that. You said at the beginning that the session has to be as practical as possible. So I'm asking questions I can apply on Tuesday after the public holiday. Yes. Okay. For the panelists, what are practical ways you motivate your team or motivate teams you have been responsible for towards difficult deliverables when your profile was not as crispy, I'm borrowing that word from Madam Ajala, as it is now, when you didn't have the long profile of successes, behind you? How did you motivate teams you are responsible for, especially towards difficult deliverables? Choosing in the second one.
Of course, go ahead.
Madam Falaka mentioned imposter syndrome while she was speaking just a minute ago. Is it even possible, looking at the profile you have, or since you've mentioned it, I think the question should go to you. Practically, in that moment where you're doubting your abilities, what do you do, Madam Falake? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So we'll just let, who did you address the first question to? Oh, okay, all right, so maybe both of them can take. All right, so Dr. Moji, if you could maybe go first. So his first question was speaking on practical ways in which you can lead a team even though you don't have a crispy pedigree, right? Is that what you're saying? Or experience or history. You have really nothing, but you've been made the leader. How can you motivate when you don't have those list of accolades that you can, stand on?
So the first thing is to show them that you believe in them. When I say you believe in them, through team meetings and all that, you let them, throw in their ideas. No idea is wrong. No idea is wrong. Every idea we accept, we brainstorm together. Even if the idea may not be so great, I don't say any idea is wrong. So that begins to give them confidence. And then if it's a difficult deliverable, even if we can't sort it out between ourselves on the team, then thank God for this world of internet knowledge, connecting with other people. You can tell them, okay, you know what, let's go with the team. You don't leave, which is why I stressed something earlier on, collaboration. Collaboration is key. There'll be someone, go out there and, just work with 1 or 2 other people, maybe on your team or another team that you can get information from, then brainstorm together and then come back, and then I also always get involved with them. If it's something I know about, I help them out, we talk about it together, I ask them questions so that they can think, and then they can come back and research and come back. And gradually, as you mentor them, you coach them one-on-one, you begin to draw out the best in them, you begin to pull out the best in them, and they begin to have that confidence, and they're able to stand on their own ultimately. So that's what I would say, in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Mojisola. All right, ma'am, Mrs. Tyser. If you take a stab at the question, so what are the practical ways or examples you can give him?
Okay, for example, we were at some point a couple of years ago, we were developing a lot of job descriptions and KPIs for Kano Disco, and so we had to go to Kano and kind of set up our office in a hotel, and it was a lot of work because we were changing information rapidly, so I would sit on the floor with my staff till 3 a.m. even when they would tell me to go. I just didn't feel morally right that my staff would be working till 3 a.m. and I'm lounging on a bed. It didn't make sense to me. We were in this together, we came to Kano together, we're closing and we're going back home together. So that's a practicality for your question to me.
Okay, thank you so much for that example. So essentially, you need to be part of the process and then try to be organic in getting them to have faith and trust in your capacity. Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Shweto, would you take the second part of his question on imposter syndrome? So in that moment when you're feeling it, what can he practically do?
Okay. First of all, just to abuse your mind, every single individual in my search of getting over this, imposter syndrome has some level of insecurity. I think, first of all, you need to be aware of that. And I'll start with how this might, I'll use a practical step of this might be the CEO of Ikeja Electric. Remember, I'm not an engineer. So when you talk about someone not having the pedigree, I'm not an engineer. I've not worked in the power space. And I've been made the CEO of the biggest disco in Nigeria. And I remember when I went to have a conversation with my mentor, Mrs. Awoshika, every single thing I was saying to her was, I don't know why they chose me. I kept on putting myself down. And she listened to me for like about 15 minutes, and then she stopped me. She said that the owners of your business are businessmen. They will not make an emotional decision. If they have put you in this position, you, like a director, need to first of all understand, what did they see? What do you have? And this is actually the imposter syndrome. And she sat there and she started going through every single project I have done. And we came together, we concluded, this is something I know, someone else is telling me, about how I have been doing turnaround and transformation of businesses that I didn't have expertise in. So she said, what is this disco? What is key to your owners of the business? They want to transform this disco. That's the single and most important thing. A leader doesn't have to have the technical expertise. The leader has to believe in themselves and be clear about what they know and what they do not know. Remember, I spoke about vulnerability and I talk about being true and authentic. So for me, being a CEO, I'm not an engineer, but I'm definitely smart. I have a brain and I can think logically. And I'm not afraid to ask, no, I don't know this. Oh, engineer, please break it down. Which one is feeder? What does it mean? I used to ask that question how many years ago? Now I can tell you about feeder. I didn't know about it, but I'm not the one that's going to fix the feeder. But my job is to transform, to guide, to galvanize the team. So I needed to believe in myself first. Now, Mr. Washington opened my brain to that, and I hope that helps you. Now, with the imposter one, you will still get it. I'll tell you one that happens to me. Oh, I used to be afraid of speaking engagements. But guess what? I'm speaking to my team members every day. What else is speaking? What else? Which other opportunity? I'm speaking. So it is in my head, it's in your mind that you're not good enough. That's what is in, you're not good enough. You are good enough. We are all good enough. And if there's an area you need to improve on, then identify that area and then try and reinforce it. Important. You reinforce it, understand, be self-aware. I'm not good here. What do I need to do to ensure I improve this? Once you improve that, it builds confidence and the imposter syndrome continues to reduce. So today, if they make me Minister of Power tomorrow, or make me Minister of Finance, because I'm not even an accountant, right? Guess what? You know, I'm aspiring. I'm going to remind myself, you did it once. You did it in Ikeja Electric, you transformed. I'm going to remind myself. And I also surround myself with people that will tell me, oh, okay, stop it. You did this, you did that. So you need to have that. That's practical. People that are going to remind you about what you're good at, what you do well. And then that helps build confidence. And once you build confidence, no one can take it away from you. It's when you're not sure, it's when you're insecure that you allow the imposter syndrome to take over, take control of you. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you so much. I'm very glad that His Excellency the Minister of Power blocked off before you said that you wanted his job. But okay. He was here earlier, you know, so at least he knows he has some contenders. Well, yes, for the aspiration. All right. Thank you so much for that passionate explanation. I hope that has helped you. So I'll take the last question from somebody online, and this is specifically to Dr. Muji. He says, this is coming from Mr. Umore. Mr. Umore is saying that in Nigeria, we talk so much about servant leadership and standing up for the interested parties. So he's asking that, in your opinion, what is priority between employees and shareholders, and who comes first and why? So I know that, you know, we had a little bit about, you know, was discussed earlier, but this is specifically speaking to Dr. Moji, and I'm sure there's a reason he asked you specifically, in line with, you know, everywhere that you've worked, the people you've worked with, and then also coming back to Nigeria.
Okay, so an organization is made up of people. Maybe the shareholders, the key shareholders start an organization, right? They found the organization, they identify the CEO, and then the management team employ the workers. However, if you don't have workers and you don't have customers, you don't have an organization. So the employees are very important. However, also you can't start an organization without investment. So you need both the money from the stakeholders to invest. You need, well, when I say stakeholders, someone corrected that earlier on, and stakeholders, you know, in management, in leadership, stakeholders is everyone that is involved.
Sorry, he specifically asked about shareholders.
Shareholders,
yes,
okay, shareholders specifically. So in terms of the shareholding, the shareholders, they are key on finance, profit, let it make profit. So there needs to be a balance. So they're coming from two different perspectives, really. So there needs to be a balance in terms of, I can't say one person is more important than the other. If you want to choose one, I would say you know, after the shareholders put the money down, the employees are very, very important, because the employees can make or break you. And leadership style is key. You know, so so he mentioned something about servant leadership. Servant leadership is something that we should all practice. In fact, I was reading Stephen Covey's book a while back, and he's on the man that wrote The 7 Habits, and he talked about the 8th habit, and that's greatness, moving from being a highly effective person into greatness. And what makes you great? What makes you great is service. Building what you have learned, finding your own voice through everything, helping other people find their own voice, helping them find what they, understand what they need to do, and then begin to help people build, become better, so that you can deliver on your shared goals, and they can ultimately deliver on their own shared goals, on their own goals as well. So invariably, servant leadership, if you demonstrate servant leadership in an organization, I believe both the senior management and even the shareholders to a certain extent, even though they're not the executive, let me say the executive, because the non-executive are not involved in operations. But if you demonstrate servant leadership from the top, you'll begin to see that it will begin to grow, continue to multiply along, go all the way down. And like our last speaker said, invariably every other person will want to put in their best for the organization, and you'll get the best out of your people, because when you practice servant leadership, when you're concerned about other people, you want to develop them, you want them to be their best at whatever they do. They will give you the best. You will see productivity and you will see profit. So a company needs to be caring, I remember when I was working for Dow Chemical, then, they were so keen on training us, always talking about giving us opportunities to train. At the same time, looking also to, team, ensuring that we had what we call 980 even before, which was work 9 hours every day for 9 days, and the 10th day you take it off. This was way before we had the other type of work. So it was like, so they were concerned about family, the balance, and over there, family life balance, work-life balance, very important. Not working till late hours, having interviews at odd hours of the night, which I hear happens sometimes in the financial sector. Yeah, why would you do that? So it's important. Or why would you call people names, or that kind of thing? So it's so important that you build people, you show people you respect them. When you show respect, then you are really showing servant leadership. And I think employees are really, really very important. But we need the money of the shareholders. We need their advice, and we need their strategy.
Great, thank you so much. So essentially, that balance is very critical. All right. So I'll just, when I was thinking about this, I was just thinking of everything that we've learned on leadership and what I do also know about leadership. And, a quote from Ronald Reagan came to mind when he said that the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things, but the one that gets people to do the greatest things. And I think the notion of empowerment is what we've been hearing about today. So just a quick recap of what we've learned. It's okay to change our mind. We have to work at acquiring trust, being transparent, and being vulnerable. We have to find a way to humanize leadership. And also, when giving feedback, positive or negative, there must be some situational awareness when you're doing that. And when you criticize, be a part of the solution. Don't just say you didn't do it right. So also, they expect less from you, so go in with your A game, show people respect every single time. So on that note, that wraps it up for us here. Thank you again to our panelists here and virtually. Thank you to the audience for your time. I know it's late and everybody's tired, so thank you for your attention. Thank you for the questions. And then also to the QHSE Academy, thank you very much. And then we hope to see you at version 3.0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was an insightful session. I'm sure we all gained. And the summary of that is that everything rises and falls on leadership. One more time, let's appreciate our panelists and our moderator. And on this note, we'd like to quickly present awards to them. Mrs. Folake Shweto, certainly for obvious reasons, we cannot present yours virtually, but we appreciate you. And we'll be throwing it at you. I'm very excited to have you on this platform. So first and foremost, we'll present to Mrs. Taizir Ajala. And to do that honor will be Hajia Bilkis Ayola Ayekmola, founder Hopewell Initiative. Hajia, please come up stage. Let's appreciate her. To join Hajia in this presentation will be Dr. Adeboye Yekini, President, Society of Energy Administrators. Thank you very much. And they'll be making presentation to Mrs. Tazir Ajala, CEO, Gordon's Barrett Limited. Thank you very much. And next will be Dr. Mojisola Olateru Olagbegi. And to do the honor of presenting the award to her will be Mrs. Bukola Badmos, CFO Starlight Power Solution. And joining her will be, and that's we say behind every successful man is what? Okay, I'm hearing it is not behind, it is in front, beside, up, beside, right, down, everywhere. Please, that is the Jagaban Safety herself. And then joining her will be Mr. Toby Duwowoju, an international ergonomic expert. Please join Jagaban Safety to present this award. So if you have seen Engineer Jamiu Badmos do well on global stage, that is the brain behind. That is the Jagaban herself.
More music on trendybeats.com.
I'll now like to call on Engineer Jamiu Badmos. Engineer Jamiu Badmos, the Jagaban Safety. We are giving out some awards to some of our facilitators, and Engineer Badmos will be doing that. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, the first award we are going to give now, don't go anywhere, Auntie Joke. We go to the moderator of this program. Most of us don't know him, and I know you know he performed very well. He's one of our teachers in training. When he trains you, you never forget him. He's a master trainer. So all of us trainers, all together, we gave him a name over 20 years ago. We call him Grandmaster. People thought the Grandmaster is for occultic. No, it's for trainers. Look, if this man should train you customer experience, or things that we say, marketing strategy, you will forget the name of your mom and dad. Akimorakiyo, as at when we have this program, is positioned in CIBN, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Director Membership Services. 2 days ago, the entire council of CIBN, comprising professors, doctors, chartered accountants, chartered bankers, came together and said, Akimorakiyo, you are going to lead CIBN as the CEO of CIBN. Aki is a very difficult person to get. Somebody came in here and said, how do you bring Aki to this program, Jeremy? You have brought people that are very difficult to get. And all of them, I didn't give them invite for 1 year. The Okalatuji you are seeing here, when you talk of experts in strategy and performance in this country, oil and gas, power, telecoms, you have idea. It's just 1 week, I call her. I said, Auntie Joge, you are moderating CEO. Auntie Busola dear, a whole CEO, very powerful. I was just going to office that day. I just called and said, Auntie Busola, how are you, man? She said she's fine. I said, you are speaking at leadership reboot. Say, which one is reboot? I said, it's to reboot people's life. You are going to speak there, Jare. He said, what do you mean now? I said, madam, you are speaking. I will send you details. Just give me your topic, and that was all. Every one of them. I can thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Aki needs to be given something by all of us. I don't know which song to sing for somebody who are I don't know. But he said we should not sing any song. Let's just continue to support him with prayer. So that during his own tenure, CIBN will continue to grow, and more honor. So Aki, we want you to come up here, and we need to give you our own award too for attending to us as our moderator for the program, and you have done excellently well. No, you always do well anywhere. So academic students that are here, academic students, if you are here with your uniform and you don't want to kneel down in the class, next class, you will kneel down virtually. Please come forward, academic students, about 5-6 of you. Please come forward, fast. The first to get here, you get 5,000 naira. See how money can cost people's wahala. Oh my God! It's okay. Okay, calm down. You can see that SDG 1 and 2 is really real. Zero hunger and no poverty in Nigeria. Okay, please, you come up. I want all of you to present this to Aki on behalf of QHSC Leadership Academy. On behalf of Academy, present to him. Don't present to him. Please, cameraman, take their pictures. These are people that have graduated from academy after passing through almost 7 months of rigorous learning. Some of you seated are going to join our academy. It's very, very interesting, but very rigorous. Some will be cut off on the way. We don't pity people. When you are cut off, you call, excuse me, I have some problem. Stomach upset. You are gone. So yes, that's good. Surround the man. We celebrate you, Aki, on behalf of all of us as QHSC S Leadership Academy. We celebrate you. Okay. With that pictures, you can go to any bank and collect. What they will collect, I don't know. Just go to bank and say, CIBN CEO, I take picture. And of course, to my one and only sister, I call her big sister. To God. You see when she came up, she made all of us to dance Buga. She likes Buga so much. If you want her to give this DJ 100,000 now, if DJ just play Buga and she start dancing Buga for you. And I saw Madam Busola where they are dancing all night long. All these old school people, they love to do old school. Thank you, Auntie Busola. So now, sustainable people, you are the one that is, we are always backing and supporting and you have been so amazing. If you are certain people, please come outside and give that award to Joke Olatuji, an expert in corporate performance and strategy, a consultant of Reboot. Please, let's clap for them. Their governor is leading them. Abdulrazak is the governor. Please, let's make it very snappy. Papas, please surround. Others from the back, please come forward. Okay, move forward, take pictures. Yes, Mama Pop, I can see you. And you move very fast. Okay, that's very nice. DJ, give Buga to Joker there. He's going to get 100,000 now. Joker, show them. Don't sleep, don't sleep. Wake up. Can I have money? Dance with her now. Can I have money? If you are sustainable, dance with her. Oh, you are dancing with her now. You are sustainable. Wake up. So before we call it a day, I would like to inform us today that 3 of our lecturers in the academy, they could not attend the convocation ceremony. One of them logged it online from UK, and that is, of course, the chancellor of the academy itself, the father of the academy itself. When he delivered lecture in the academy, he gave scholarship, just like Fumi Adebola, they gave huge scholarship. And the students are very happy. Let me tell you one thing. The academy today, membership of FISPON, membership of almost all, about 8 professional bodies, free, they gave it to us. So, after this program, you know, we are having meeting, the academy staff, the academy students, we are having meeting. We want to establish our alumni, our executives, our people from the visually impaired, all of them are joining us. Academy is adopting them as HSC professional, and we are going to make sure they get places to work. I'm telling you, you can ask my prof, the chancellor of the academy. One of them came to do NEBOSH. She passed NEBOSH. Also, she passed her NEBOSH exam that those who have 2 eyes have been doing for 3 years, they've not passed. She passed the exam, and they are here. The chairman of all the visually impaired people, that's the name we call them. But he himself, he said, we are blind. I said, no, we cannot call you that name. He said, call us blind people. We don't care. Because from our disability, ability comes out there. I said, I agree with you, but I will never call you blind. You come outside and say, I'm blind. But the truth of the matter is that they are very good people. Before we leave here today, if, and I say if you believe in humanity, it's good to also make them happy for the go here today. I'm coming to that. Let me call on my prof himself, the expert of economics in this country and at large, the global village. Very young, but very vibrant, and has taken that niche for himself. Economics. Put on the cap for him, the lecturer of repute of the academic gown, get what he wants to collect. And I call on Father Eyi, my father that refused to pay school fees, to come forward. We will still talk about you, but no problem, you don't pay. It doesn't mean, everybody knows that's how you do. When you want to pay, you fight me, you go away. After fighting, you come back again when it's not time for school fees.
Where's your result?
The school fees. So, let's take the Oju aside. Let's clap for those academic students. Most of you that don't know him. Academy is virtual class. Most of you don't know him. This is Toby from Canada. Toby is based in Canada and is one of the best in Canada they can produce today as a Nigerian. And he has come back again, not to live in Nigeria, but to sell products to us. And he will go back to Canada. But he didn't jump out. His son is not jump out. He went to school and he's doing great there. Please, very good place. That was last. So please give. You can take microphone to. Don't talk as if you are talking to a baby girl. Good. Yes.
Toby, thank you so much for the great work you've done for humanity. I know when we didn't have any economists around to help us, even me, you taught me a lot of things. I was speaking lately, I mentioned anthropometry. People were clapping hands, but I didn't know that I learned it from you. Thank you so much for all the great work you're doing. And just to honor you, we decided to bring this, just to keep in your plan. We know you have many, but this is special. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Paye. Thank you, Toby. Toby is an expert in economics. For those of you that just registered for the academy, you'll be seeing his class, 3 modules, very tough. Toby, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paye. Then the next person is the warrior of safety. Safety has different people. The warrior of safety is there. And that's Balogun of safety. Azabi, Azan, can you please come forward? Let them give you gown. And then you come up for your award. Azabi, Azan is a warrior of safety. I know when you finish university, you didn't wear any gown. And then you went to UK to study again, you refused to wear gown. So today you are wearing gown. Let's clap for Azabi Azan. A very passionate safety professional, a construction expert, and an estate valuer. Yes, he has now plans to greet his share of Ayosh. Share of Ayosh, we celebrate you. WSO, we greet you, my brothers. Please, as we are talking, people are hearing you, please. So please wait for him. Please let us send it to his kids to see their dad. He's wearing down. For those who are yet to graduate, want to start academy, start from October. This is how you wear gown next year too. For those who will pass. Those who don't pass, those who fail will come. We'll celebrate together. Round of applause for Azan. Let's have a place to give Azan his award. He's my one and only chief himself. My teacher, my mentor, my chief. Chief Festus Kode. Please join him, Director of Public Safety, expert in public safety, Mr. Adeyinka Adebiyi. Join him, join Chief to give Azan. Azan is a warrior. He has not put on before, just teach him how to do it. Just teach him. He will listen to you. Just listen, Azan. Eh? Okay, do not like this. Correct. Like this, correct. We thank God. Yeah. So, yeah, please. Azan. Yes, the powerful big man.
Azan, thank you very much. The most difficult task on earth is to teach somebody and somebody to understand what you're teaching the person. I've been there, I know what it takes. For the good work you have done so far, may God continue to bless you.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If your name is Olatubosun Erijide, if you are here, Olatubosun Erijide, are you here? Please come forward. Let's clap for this guy, the first person to enter this place today. The first to enter here today, that entered inside when they start registration. Put it to the back. So, come on, give him. You two have turned to award giver now. A lot of us make it snappy. That's a particular person again too. He came at 7:30. When he called me, I said, when is the program starting? He said, I think I should come earlier. I said, it's fine, just stay there. 7:30. Azan Owo. No? Yes, Azan. Yes, you, Azan. Please, let's clap for him. Very dedicated guy. All these books we are given, this is the book we call Essentials of Safety and Health, written by Ogadibi. Ogadibi, you come outside and give this book on your own. This governor come with him. We'll give this book together. Governor Wanyo. What they call non-TTO. So governor, give it to Azan for coming early. Other people, your names are here. Madam Mandu Ekpenyong. Madam Mandu Ekpenyong, please come forward and have your own. Mr. Rufai Yusuf, come forward. You are a very dedicated person. You can read more. Madam Shikodi Numeje, please come forward. Shikodi, where are you? Very attentive throughout the sessions. You are listening as if you take all the lecturers away to your house going back. Thank you so much. Of course, I have a big sister here. To get the minister was very tough. We use all our powers. We use internal, we use external. You know the internal? That is other room. Auntie Bimbo did not agree. Auntie Bimbo called him. Said, you must go to that program. You have no choice. As we use that one, we use external too. From the top, they said something, you must go to that program. One of the person instrumental, apart from the PA, SA to the minister, is my one and only sister, Rebecca of Len. Rebecca, please, can you please come forward? Rebecca has been working with Mrs. Bimbola Fashola, and she has been the one handling all our programs. I'm also a teacher in the institute. We train children and we must be celebrated. Let's clap for Rebecca, please. She has been doing a great job for us. Please give Rebecca a very nice one. And there is park. They bought park from outside. So give her the one we park because she will tell minister to cancel what she has come to do today. And minister will remove her face from the video. Thank you, family. Let's have for Rebecca, very dedicated person. That's very good. Okay. Others are going to announce your name. Please don't forget academic students, those who are already, graduate of academy. Alumni meeting continues. Very brief alumni meeting. Those who are new students that we have already registered you free of charge. Others are going to do entrance exam. If you are interested, it's good for you to also wait and see how we do the alumni election and everything. Then we can take it up together. Then we know you have joined the family. But before we go to that one and announce the other awards, I want to call the Roko of Safety himself. The Roko of Safety, my twin brother, extremely powerful. When it's coming, safety forces are moving. If you are not strong, they will fall you down. As if Holy Ghost fire, you are in trouble. It's a safety force, everything safety. The group CEO of every group, my brother, my friend, and an outstanding supporter for humanity. For most of the programs we do, that when we say how much is remaining for us to pull down, I will dodge him. He will go and steal my account number. I don't want to get everything. We just drop, boom. And when it enter, I will faint, I will wake up. So thank you so much for all you do for this profession. Thank you so much for all you do for humanity. Thank you so much for all you do for sustainability. Thanks for the love of the people, and we also love you. I have the honor and privilege to call my team brother, Dapo Omolade, to come here, and I must bring those who are also outstanding in humanity to come and reward you. Alaja Barikis Ayepola, the owner and founder of Hopewell Initiative, come outside. My one and only sister, chief performance expert, as far as I know in this country, come outside. Dr. Latuji, my one and only sister, Madam Princess Gogwe, Busola Alope, CEO, come outside. And my brother that is so much interested in child education, SDG number 4, he will not joke with it. So therefore, I call on Chief Kazim Olonipepo. Please, I want this Kazim to have a standing occupation. Please, let's stand for him, this man. Please, for God's sake, if you love humanity, stand for this man. This man will bring over 3,000 students at the same time, logging different heads without any money, with his own money. Feed people for 7 days. To feed for 1 day, sir, by the shake. 7 days. Children, thank you so much. Kazim, we celebrate you for your love for humanity. See people standing for you. See Pai standing for you. See Akimabako Yaimogu standing for you. You should thank your God for this. Yes, if people are standing for a man, top people like all of you standing for him, it should thank God. Thank God. So everybody please dress Prof. Prof wore gown when he finished BSc. Prof is not like Azak. Only master. Prof didn't wear gown during master. But he wore during BSc. I never put on gown before until they gave me fellow in power engineers. I was so happy in my life. Now,
Mr. Dapo Omolade, you've done a lot to serve humanity, and everybody that is here that says the first thing you want to do in life is to put service to humanity, you are serving God as well, and God will reward you.
Amen.
Whatever you do, God will reward you much. We are proud of you, and I know that Njidekune is proud to family and every member of these young people that you have invited one or two things into their life. I've also learned one thing: I can always steal his account number because he will never give it to you, and do something. You have inspired us. You have inspired a lot of young people, and you have rekindled the hope of the Almighty will be with you all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ajia Balekis, Ayekola, fantastic. Thank you so much. Give the microphone to the finish.
I want to be dancing with you forever. You see, cause it's not take me as I am.
Therefore, don't go anywhere. Just to me at that moment, do what we call closing remark for the program. Closing remark by, now I call him Prof. I will call him Prof. And today you can, yeah, I can say it anywhere. This is how Prof looks like. Gray, hair like this. So Professor Dapo Omolade, closing remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, professionals, friends, families, members of the press, everyone who have made this day a great success. I would like to say on behalf of Jamil, the QHSES team, from the students to the alumni to the board, and everyone who is joining this group today to change the narratives in Nigeria. Because what we need at this time is nothing but this. For those of us who are still here and seated here, this is our Nigeria, this is our home. And I think we have had enough today to encourage us to become very responsible. And I think if we do that, it's just a matter of time. We will get to where we're supposed to be. So thank you so very much for being a great supporter of this event. I have no doubt in my mind that this is just the beginning of what we are going to achieve through this program. So please want to also say that as we continue to call on you, a lot has gone into this, and you can imagine what would have gone into bringing everybody here, not just inviting the guests, but also providing this comfortable environment for everyone to sit in. A lot has gone into it. So I would trust that for many of us who are here, you can also in many ways support what we are doing here. This is what we want to do at this time. And we hope as we continue to push forward, we'll birth a Nigeria of our dream. A Nigeria that we're all proud of. I'm very proud of Nigeria. And Jamil saw me with the green something today. He said, you know, I'm not going yet. No, I'm not going. This is where it is. This is where it's happening actually. And I'm happy to be here. And I'm sure a lot of us want the best for Nigeria. Thank you so very much. And as we go back to our different homes and different families and workplaces, let's continue to bear this in mind, that leadership is all about everything. And we have to become the responsible leaders. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Prof. I greet you, Prof, my leader. Thank you so much, Prof. Now, please, I brought the treasurer of my family, people who are virtually impaired. The treasurer is there, and the chairman is here. Please, for God's sake, what are now the remaining gifts for us here? Will you please, anywhere you are? I don't know, DJ, can you play good music for people to walk from the back to the front? I will start dropping some things for them here. Those who want to promise can promise, we will get it across. Do you have account number in your group? Okay, we are going to give the account number because my chief code cannot give what can be seen here. It's bullion van. is a chief. So please, can you just sustain people? Can you go around, take each role and collect for them fast while I continue to call people? Who is Adebowale Florence? Please come forward. And Owolabi Root, come forward. These are members of Safety Marshal. They came very early. Let's clap for them. Just clap for like this for them. Safety Marshal. During COVID period, you are sleeping in your house. These are those that make it happen. Please, let's give them a photo to the please. Come on like this. You are collecting gifts. Courtesy of Azabi Azar. Good job. Please, collect for them. Please make it very snappy. Collect donation for them. Collect donation for them, please. What account? Account number, Mr. Tawo Amo. Tawo Amo was HSC coordinator of a company before he lost his sight. So please, account number. Should I give microphone? Okay, while we are waiting for account number, those who have anything to drop, please drop for them. Who is Cynthia? Yeah, Cynthia Bakpetu, come forward. Hey, big one for Cynthia Bakpetu. Make that same people. Yes? Okay, go and take your phone. Feels like time is frozen and the night is forever. For others that have, any one of you that have come to meet you, but have not given you your book, the book has finished, but we are going to give you, so I've come to meet you. But let's give just one last one to Bello Barakat. Is Bello Barakat there? Bello Barakat, are you there? Who is OJ Gibbard? Oga OJ Gibbard. Oga, please. OJ Gibbard. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of the program. For those, what is it? Alumni, we are meeting here immediately. Account number, they've gone to check it from the phone. They will check it from their phone and announce to us. Alumni, all of you, please come forward. Those who are joining the academy, sit down with us. Then thank you so much for coming on. DJ, when you're supposed to play, you will not play. Now, now don't play. Okay. Let's listen to the account number. They came all the way from Ikorodu, so the bus is ready to take them back. Courtesy Ikeja Electric provided the bus for them to come from Ikorodu and to go back. Thanks to the CEO for a compassionate leadership. Do you get the number? Their phones are specialized phones, not like your own Android. Yes, they have some software there. Don't go yet. They are going to take you out. Relax. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, good. That man they are taking outside there is a director of a company. To go who made me, that man is a director of a company, and his company is still there. They are into manufacturing of soaps, wash in hand soap, all those things, and he's doing very well. That man they are taking out there. Call over Gojulova. Hey, Chami, I beg you over. Papa, you didn't say amen. You don't hear Yoruba? Oh, tubo. I say. Thank you very much, DJ. Go ahead with your music. Where is the account number, please? That is playing. Give me, let me announce it too. Please, I can't number be displayed now. All of us that are academic students and the prospective students, please come forward. Let's quickly have 10 minutes and we'll move out from here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Account number.
More music on Trend.
Nigerian Association of the Blind, Ikorodu chapter. Nigerian Association of the Blind, Ikorodu chapter. FCMB 8611563018. Nigerian Association of the Blind, Ikorodu chapter. FCMB 8611563018. Pay into that account, it will get to our colleagues and they'll be able to manage us very well. Thank you so much once again. We'll display it online and then we can all see it. Please display very well. Thank you. God bless you all.
Open the fire, play the bedroom, let them know. No finish you, no finish you. Man, no fit tire, every day I'm on the road. No limit you, no limit you. Yeah, it's now so good.
More music on trendybeats.com.
bless you.